Hello, welcome back to Firesons Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Rizia. So last time out, we tried to spread a message of religious harmony. We sent a military division to go help one of our allies out in a civil war. We had a meeting with our council about the results of the election. And then there was like a midnight attack on our southern border that may or may not have been instigated by Palais. So we'll have to see what the heck is going on there. But first off, we have 4 newspaper articles here, so let's see what's going on here first. So, we got 3 of them from the Royal Herald. So first up, where is Vina? After the recent military incident with Pelesian forces, one question remains. Where is our beloved Princess Vina? At the time of the incident, the princess was supposed to be in Palais on a diplomatic mission, leading the negotiations for the gas deal. Since the deal now appears to be off and tensions could escalate further, millions across country are worried about the whereabouts of the princess, who has reportedly not yet made it back safely to a Rizian homeland. Royal Herald, together with other major institutions across Rizian society, calls for a nighttime vigil praying for a safe return. And King Romus traveling to Palais. Following the blatant Pelesian attack on Rizian assets, King Romus has decided to travel to Palais, showing Rizia's commitment to international diplomacy. There, he's expected to sternly talk to the Grand Duke, making clear Rizia's disapproval with Pelesian actions. However, should Palais refuse to listen to Rizia's concern and not take up the king's generous offer of peace, Rizia's military stands ready to respond to the attacks against our country. And Palais attacks Rizia. How to respond? The blatant Pelesian incursion into Rizian territory prompts a strong response from our king. The question, however, is how strong should it be? Is now the time to complete what the late Valero couldn't do and return Palais to Rizian control? Or should the ongoing negotiations surrounding the Aureus gas field be allowed to be continued? The latter seems very difficult given Palais' recent act of aggression, but we as a nation will stand with our King Romus, whatever he might decide. Yeah, I'd definitely rather aim for peace, but if we have to go to war, then I will make sure to bump up our military a little bit. And from Geopolitica, Pelesian troops cross into Rizia. A major escalation occurred on the Rizian-Palais border as Pelesian soldiers appear to have launched a surprise attack on Rizian territory, a move that risks to spark a wider conflict as well as cast serious doubts regarding the status of Rizian-Pelesian negotiations surrounding the Aureus gas field. Pelesian troops crossed the Alka River in the early morning, engaging in a firefight with Rizian forces before seizing Navarre Castle, a resident area Paliachis. I have no idea. Whatever. As the situation continues to evolve rapidly, it remains unclear who fired the first shots. Early reactions from across Marcopa are pouring in, calling for an investigation of the incident and asking for restraint from both sides. Yeah, like I said, that's my goal. We'll see what happens. Alright, well, I guess let's start in Port Trezon here. About the reform movement again? I don't know. The reform movement has surged dramatically, becoming a national force impossible to ignore. Massive rallies organized by the Rizian People's Party and reformist groups are drawing hundreds of thousands, with calls for democratization echoing in every major city. The majority of the public is reported to be in support of the RPP's push for a new constitution, and pressure is mounting on the government to respond. I guess we'll just listen to him, that's fine. Cool, and then I guess we'll head to Palais to meet with Duke Reinhardt. Our convoy drove steadily across the cobbled streets of Old Town Palais. It is my second visit to the Pelesian capital since becoming King of Rizia, and the atmosphere this time was far more tense. The specter of the recent border incident cast a long shadow over our relations. I sensed it in the mood of everyone around me. On our arrival to Castle Reinhardt, we were greeted by the expressionless faces of the Pelesian delegation with no sight of the Duke himself. No pleasantries were exchanged, and no diplomatic gestures were played to the camera. We were instead quickly ushered inside as the reporters were blocked off. Nobody from my security detail nor the welcoming delegation spoke as we entered the room where the meeting was to take place. When Duke Reinhardt entered the room, everyone else left. He didn't speak a word until we were completely alone. Romus, your rushed arrival here is a testament to the gravity of our situation. I wish I could say your visit today brings me comfort, but under these circumstances I find it hard to extend a warmth. I hope we can sort this problem out today, Your Grace. He extended his hand for a handshake. I'll be polite. I shook his hand and we both sat down. He stared at me, brow furrowed. Look, I do not intend to allow Palais to be pushed around by Rizia any longer. So please, listen to me very carefully. Where's Vina? He looked annoyed when I disrupted him. She's safe and sound, Your Majesty, don't worry. We'll bring her in later, but first you will listen to me. If you think I'd let Rizia use an orchestrated incident as justification for, well, whatever you intend to do, you'd be wrong. Believe me, I'm in the same boat as you. Our reports suggest that your soldiers shot first. I came here to get some answers. Your reports suggest utter lies, Your Majesty. We know that your soldiers incited the incident. Our guards moved to the islet during the firefight simply because they were under fire. So please tell me, Your Majesty, what in the hell happened in Navarre Castle? The reports we received can be deceptive, and I fear we are both victims of a larger game. It is not my desire, nor the desire of Rizia, to escalate tensions. We seek only to defend our sovereignty, as you do yours. Defend your sovereignty, or expand it at the cost of ours. A report suggests it was Rizia's soldiers who fired first, instigating the conflict. What will we gain from this, Your Grace? I don't know. He sighed. Look, Your Majesty, you speak of peace and cooperation, yet the actions at the border tell a different story. This very moment, our soldiers in that castle are surrounded by your forces. If you want to have a dialogue, they must first be allowed to leave. Of course, they'll be allowed to leave immediately. Now, it is common for patrols to be near borders. It is another thing entirely to respond with gunfire. We were in close cooperation since we agreed on our deal on Aureus, and right before the signing, this happened. This cannot be brushed aside as a misunderstanding. I'm not brushing anything aside. I suspect it could be an inside job. An inside job from Rizia. So, you also think that your reports are untrustworthy? No, I won't allow you to point fingers at Rizia. It could be from within Palais as well. Your side would be giving away the rights to the field, after all. What are you insinuating? Look, Your Grace, I think there's someone else behind this incident. We can't point fingers at ourselves. We must work together. He straightened his back. Okay, and who might that be? Lesbia. Of course you'd say that. Lesbia's our biggest partner. You've been long despising the assistance they've given us. And they have been pushing over the control of Aureus through a deal with you, haven't they? Mr. Alvarez is surely mad about our deal to sell the rights to Rizia instead, but do you really think he'd go that far? I mean, we did kind of piss him off by trying to steal the mids out from under him, too. Who else, Your Grace? Rizia is surely not behind this, as we've already paid our own sum for the rights. And this happens right before it's finalized? The only loser of this deal is Lesbia. I suppose you might be right. We have to look into this together. He stopped for a moment to think. However, if you really want us to continue with this deal, I expect you to acknowledge the Rizia mistakes that led to this incident. My people will expect something from your side. If we're going to be going this route together, I expect you to pay reparations for the violent exchange. I only ask a modest sum as a symbolic gesture. Okay. Anything for peace. Great. Then I believe I can make our signing work on our previously agreed upon date. I knew you'd see reason. We shook hands. We'll make it official soon, Your Majesty. I will invite you to play again for the final steps. I hope no more incidents will take place before then. Responsibility falls on both of our shoulders. Well then, have a nice day, Your Majesty. We'll see each other again soon. The Duke waved his hand. The door opened, and I saw Vina waiting for me outside by the exit. We do not take hostages here, Your Majesty. He smiled as my daughter rushed to embrace me. Fantastic. Alright. Not a fan of losing that extra money there, but, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Alright. Let's see. So, we have a report here from Palais, so let's just do that since we're right here. Palais thanks King Romus for a visit. The Pelagian government thanks King Romus for a swift trip to Palais to avoid a further escalation of the tense situation. Palais hopes for future relations with Rizia to be fruitful and based on mutual respect and understanding. Cool. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing just seems so suspicious. Like, why would we attack them when we're trying to get their gas field? I don't know. Very confusing. Alright. There's something here about the alignment of the 6 stars. Okay. And reports of parallel enforcement activities. Alright, well, let's start with that one. That sounds quicker and easier. Let's see. Local officials note increased involvement of Su Amina in law enforcement matters. Patrols have been seen accompanying police units, and detainments are occurring without proper coordination. It's unclear who authorized this cooperation or if anyone did it all. Alright, well, I'm going to go with Rizia has no use for these thugs, because we don't really want, you know, some sort of a racist vigilante force helping out the cops. It sounds like a terrible idea. Cool. Nothing is coming of that so far. So now let's go look at the 6 stars thing. Oh, it's at the observatory, so it's probably literal stars then. Okay, cool. The Portrazon Observatory Tower stood tall against the night sky, stars twinkling overhead as my motorcade arrived beneath it. However, it now functioned more as a museum than as a site for astronomical observation due to the city's light pollution. It served as a relic of Rizia's bygone era when the night sky's wonders were more easily unveiled. I had come to meet with Grand Wiseman Ignatius for the alignment of the 6 stars, a rare celestial event that occurred every 200 years and was celebrated by Ruisists worldwide. The alignment is sure to be impressive from that vantage point. Titus nodded towards the top of the tower. This is a waste of time. I'd rather concentrate on everything going on down below. Please, Your Majesty, have faith in the Grand Wiseman's plan. They say that God is never closer to us than he is during the alignments. Perhaps he will grace you with enlightenment. Okie dokie then. That sounds kinda cuckoo. Before long, Titus and I vacated our vehicle, entered the building, and ascended the spiraling staircase. We eventually reached the top. I was nearly out of breath, whereas Titus seemed to breeze through it without breaking a sweat. I would hope so. He's a trained soldier. 2 guards greeted us at the door, one of whom opened it. I stepped inside while Titus remained behind. The dimly lit room carried the scent of aged books and burning incense, while candles cast a soft glow. Sal was hunched over an altar adorned with astrological charts and religious artifacts, seemingly unaware of my presence. I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Startled, Sal raised his head to meet my gaze. Forgive my oversight, Your Majesty. I didn't realize you had entered. I've been immersed in arrangements for tonight's holiest of events. Whatever. No harm, no foul. The Wiseman's face lit up with a gracious smile. Well, I'm delighted you're here. An exhilarating event awaits you. It's remarkable that we're about to witness the same celestial alignment St. Rook beheld so many years ago. As we celebrate this event, I'd be honored to retell the story if you'd like. Okay, fine, let's listen to it. I've heard it before, but a retelling would be welcome. Splendid. Sal cleared his throat and began to pace around the room. In the tenets of Druidism, there unfolds a celestial saga, the alignment of the 6 stars. Imagine Saint Ruick, our venerable faith's architect, embarking on a sacred sojourn into the cosmic's vastness. Guided by divine insight, Saint Ruick witnessed the cosmic ballet, grasping the profound significance of this alignment. With spiritual brilliance, he condensed the 11 pillars into 6, aligning them with the celestial bodies, now recognized as planets. What? Okay. Sounds vaguely familiar. Please continue. Of course, as I was saying, Saint Ruick perceived the alignment as a symbol of spiritual evolution, a journey towards a more harmonious interconnectedness of the cosmic and godly realms. Each aligned planet, embodying a pillar, became a torch, illuminating simplified teachings and a testament to the diverse perspectives within Ruicism. The alignment of the 6 stars acts as a celestial guide, directing the faithful on the journey to enlightenment. And that's why we are here to bear witness to tonight. Nicely done, though if I may give a bit of constructive criticism, it could have been shortened. I appreciate the feedback. If you follow me to the balcony, we can continue our discussion while bearing witness to tonight's event. I stepped into the cool evening air alongside him. Fortrazon sprawled beneath, its lights flickering like stars in the night. However, when I gazed upward, there are no stars to be seen, nothing but clouds blanketing the sky. It seems the heavens have other plans in mind. Patience. The cosmos has a language of its own. Tonight it speaks of destiny and the intertwining fates. Intriguing, please go on. Sal's eyes lit up, illuminated by faint moonlight. I shall first speak of the prevailing religious factions within Rizia and their opinions of the crown. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a creased sheet of paper. As a member of your council, I don't have many chances to commune with the Ruicis public. But a former student of mine, Severio Castellanos, has been rising in influence among the faithful. He sent me a message to pass on to you. Sal frowned. He speaks of pain, Your Majesty. His congregants complain of worsening living standards, to the extent that some can no longer feed or house their families. With a little help coming from the government, the onus is on the sanctuary to aid those most in need. This is the first I've heard of this Severio fella. Why should I trust what he has to say? He has been visiting sanctuaries across the kingdom, preaching our faith and listening to the people. I foresee a time when he could be very useful to the crown, but only if more is done to please his followers. The fact that the arch sanctuary of Plava continues to deteriorate has not sat well with them. As for the Dasnerus archpriests with whom I have conversed, they have confided in me that the congregations are not satisfied with your reign. Your refusal to fund the Grand Sanctuary expansion they request in Salve has notably diminished Your Majesty's likability in their community. Why would the crown fund your Grand Sanctuary? They perceive it as a symbolic representation of the decline and neglect of the religious heritage within our community. As a community composed primarily of Vesics and Robergians, they have repeatedly petitioned for better treatment for foreigners. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made for the greater good, even if they impact personal likability. Difficult decisions indeed. As for the Gok in this community, it goes without saying that the blasphemy law continues to strain relations. Overall, while you're not on the Golkin's bad side, you're not on the good side either. To be honest, you should not do more to feed into their fervor. Their radical beliefs, especially those of Dirty and Golkinus, are incompatible with the Rizian way of life. Tell me more about Dirtia. I still haven't decided whether Supreme Wiseman Asmal is worth speaking to. I will do my best to fill you in, Your Majesty. Faint breeze stirred Sal's robes, as though he were considering where to begin. The Dedians' commitment to Gokenism influences every aspect of their daily lives, serving as a cornerstone of their cultural identity. Dirty is barely 50 years old as a country. They haven't had time to establish cultural identity. You'd be surprised, Your Majesty. If you seek diplomatic relations with the Dedians, you must prepare to clash with them over our differing interpretations of Druidism. Especially considering our bans of Gokenist worship and homosexuality. The Dedians' perspective on this differs significantly, to put it mildly. What's that about dirty and homosexuality? I thought you knew, Your Majesty. He made a face as if he just smelled something awful. In Gokenism, intimacy between men is seen as the most sacred form of love. They say it strengthens bonds on the battlefield. In Dirdia, not only is this perversion legalized, it is condoned, in stark defiance of the writings of both Saint Dast and Saint Ruick. I don't understand why our saints condemned homosexuality in the first place. Love is love, after all. He shook his head violently. The so-called love that the Dirdians espouse is nothing but an obscene mockery of the sacred bond between a man and a woman. I looked once more up to the sky, but the clouds still obscured any trace of the alignment. Nevertheless, I simply want to improve our diplomatic relations in any way, shape, or form. Of course, as king, it's only natural you'd want a united front with our wayward neighbor. You did not give in to Vezek pressure to ban Dirdians from our borders. I believe you've left the door open for future negotiations with their Supreme Wiseman. I hope so. We still don't have assurances that it'll foster better relations or lead to beneficial collaboration. Yes, but keeping channels open is a diplomatic necessity. It goes without saying that the last thing we need is another adversary on our doorstep. Let's go with that. We all desire peace and harmony, but realism dictates we must resort to force if needed, yet it still leaves me deeply conflicted. As it should, Your Majesty, no man of God makes use of violence without it weighing heavily on his conscience. Silence settled between us. If I may speak candidly, Your Majesty, I find your commitment to the traditional values of Druidism most inspiring. Your willingness to uphold our anti-blasphemy laws is a testament to that commitment. I mean, I don't think I'm willing to uphold it, it's just nothing's happened yet. I've been focusing money on better things. And I believe that continuing down this path will not only honor our history, but also cultivate a sense of unity and purpose among our people. Moreover, it will foster inspirational loyalty and a shared devotion that will stand as a beacon for generations to come. Beacon, huh? That's what you think. I won't contest it. Nor should you. In recognizing the divine authority, we can forge a kingdom bound not just by earthly control, but by a spiritual one that transcends the temporal. Let's go with that one. Regardless of whether we're constrained by earthly or heavenly rules, both can be readily bent to secure one's goals. Which is why, when it comes to religion's place in this kingdom, I intend to leave my options open. With all due respect, nothing good can come from any deviation from the sacred principles that have guided our realm for centuries. To be perfectly honest, I fear that keeping Rizia under one religious banner might lead to further divisions and unrest within our borders. Are you speaking to me as your counsel on religion, or would you like to know what I really... I aim to understand all available choices thoroughly to ensure that my decision is well informed. I appreciate your commitment to a thorough understanding. As for available choices, firstly, we can remain united under Rusism, cultivating a powerful and cohesive Rizian identity. Alternatively, we could embrace a pluralist, faith-based state, recognizing the diversity of beliefs in our realm. With both, Rusism and Das Nurtit to helm, I'd imagine. Lastly, I can't believe I'm saying this, you could separate religion from government entirely, taking a secular approach that would allow each citizen the freedom to navigate the faith independently. All of which, bear in mind, come with specific drawbacks and advantages. Obviously, the priest wants us to keep this as a theocracy, but that sounds like a terrible idea. A distant bell tolled in the city below. Sal folded his hands behind his back, waiting for me to continue. As difficult as it may be, can you paint a picture of what a secular state might look like? In a secular state, the governance would operate independently of religious influence. Policies and decisions would be based on law, absence of the influence of a specific religious doctrine. It would potentially promote inclusivity by ensuring equal treatment for all citizens of all faiths and those with none. Ooh, wow, that sounds like such a bad thing. Good, my thoughts exactly. However, such an approach also comes with great risks. Okay, fine, let's hear it. Certainly, Your Majesty. One significant worry I harbor is the push for equal treatment of all religions and governments. This approach might strip away the distinct and divine influence that Rusism brings to our decision-making. That's kind of the point, old man. Without religious principles, the government may lack a moral compass, prone to wandering aimlessly. Additionally, straying from this path risks dishonoring our Rusis heritage and sacrifices our forefathers fought to. I value our kingdom's history, but prioritize progress and citizens' rights. A secular government may provide the needed solution. Go that one. Something else I wanted to ask you. It's regarding the role of religion in armed conflict. By all means, ask away. We may need to reclaim zeal through less peaceful means to prevent its permanent loss to Valen. Tell me the religious context and implications of such actions. I'd be more than happy to illuminate the spiritual facets entwined within our current situation. What would you like to know? As Rusis, we are committed to peace, but what if violence is needed to maintain that peace? In its pursuit of peace, Rusism promotes harmony and unity, yet with a nuanced perspective. When our faith promotes peaceful resolutions, it recognizes the complexity of our world. In the sacred verses, there are instances where war was justified, seen as a necessary safeguard for the divine order. Oh, there we go. Justified. That wasn't what I was expecting to hear. Please continue. In simple terms, the scriptures acknowledge that just wars, conflicts fought in defense of the divine message or to protect the pillars of enlightenment. Yet, we must scrutinize our motives. Is our cause just, or are we swayed by ambition? War should be the last resort, employed only when all avenues for peace have been exhausted. Yet, relying solely on war as the final option might lead to overlooked opportunities or even outright defeat. I understand the concern, but it's wise to try diplomacy first to avoid needless bloodshed. We must be vigilant, for the divine does not condone unjust actions, even in the face of conflict. Really want to click this one because that would be my personal idea, but we're going to go with this top one instead. It's a little bit more neutral. With all due respect, religious dogma is a guiding tool, not a master. Our faith holds inherent worth. It is to be embraced, not wielded. Nevertheless, that's all I have to say on the matter. You've given me a lot to think about. It seems the path I choose for Rizia's religious future could shape our kingdom profoundly. Indeed it's good, for better or for worse. I'm going to try to play it a little bit more coy with him. I see the value in adapting to the changing times, but that brings its own set of problems. Venturing from the status quo is akin to navigating through dense fog. While it may unveil new horizons, uncertainty can seize potential dangers. I continued looking out over the city as Sal's counsel resonated in my mind. I knew that any decision I made regarding Rizia's religious future carried the risk of backlash, if I decided to make any changes at all. As questions consumed my thoughts, the heavens seemed to respond. The thick clouds that veiled the sky suddenly dispersed, revealing the fabled light. 6 planets shone above us in a perfect arc, each brighter than the last. Below, the city hushed as onlookers collectively witnessed the extraordinary phenomenon. My God, it's even more breathtaking than I could have ever imagined. Nice view, but let's not overthink it. Sal was too enthralled with the spectacle to hear me. The 6 tenets of Ruz's Majesty, each of them a guiding beacon in the darkness, shedding light on our past in the days to come. I remember the visions Sal foretold during the consecration of the king's ceremony. Fractured crowns, soldiers in war, lovers, swarms of birds and 3-headed monsters. Whatever, let's go with that. Much like your visions in the catacombs, the alignment speaks to me. Sal looked at me, his eyes appearing to convey a shared understanding. Your Majesty, I must know. After all of our talk, what are your thoughts on our kingdom's religious governance? Choosing a secular path would liberate our kingdom from religious influence, fostering true communal enlightenment. An uncomfortable silence settled between us. Even the knight seemed powerless to conceal his anger. I'm sorry to say that I cannot endorse this point of view. It would risk severing the ties that bind us culturally and spiritually. You are coming dangerously close to using a language of millennialism. Taking such an approach is essential to ensure a government that respects all beliefs and promotes unity. I believe that would instead sow divisions rather than bring our society closer. I have no desire to contradict you, Your Majesty, and my allegiance remains steadfast with the crown as it always has been. I simply believe that alternative paths would better preserve the spiritual integrity of our realm. Perhaps there's merit in your words, so I'll give due consideration to other possibilities. I'm pleased to hear it. Regardless, my loyalties lie in serving you and Rizia. Despite our differing views, it's been a pleasure speaking to you on this momentous occasion. I am honored that we could witness it together. Sal and I said our goodbyes before we parted ways. As I stepped out of the room, Titus greeted me with a brief bow. I hope everything went as expected, sir. If by when is expected you mean listening to an old man drone on and on about nothing, then yes. After descending the observation tower and stepping outside of Titus, I was again greeted by the celestial phenomenon above. Titus momentarily stopped in his tracks to gaze overhead. It was then I realized this was his first time seeing it. This is astonishing. I've never seen anything like it before. It's simple science, Titus, nothing to get worked up over. That may be, yet in its beauty I find glimpses of the divine. Turning his attention away from the heavens, Titus guided me to my motorcade, and I resumed my journey back to the palace. I'm sorry that we didn't share a similar experience. The alignment of the 6 stars did nothing but shroud the path I was about to embark upon in darkness, that's all. Titus didn't say another word for the rest of our drive. Ooh, interesting. Alright. Awesome. Okay, so I can totally just remove state religion if I wanted to. Fantastic. It's kind of expensive, though, but that would be what I would prefer. We could change the state religion to nerdy instead as well. Alright. I mean, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, that feels like as good a place as any to go ahead and call it for today. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time.